It can often be said that art imitates life. In F1 2021, My Team Career Mode career is going to take a big, ironic twist. Welcome back. I'm Steve, this is Purple Tiger Racing, and this is the Art Imitating Life series. So imagine, if you will, 2020, Doralton Capital
let's create your driver.
Bought a majority stake of Williams Racing, and they infused money into the team that the team previously did not have. And as the season went on, the cars got more developed, the cars went faster, the drivers started scoring points, and they got one podium. Imagine, if you will, if an investment corporation took over a team and did exactly as an investment corporation would normally do, not what Doralton Capital actually did. So in this series, that's what we're going to do. We're going to see what would happen if an investment corporation came in and took over a team that was previously owned by a mom and pop organization. And the results should be fairly predictable. Should be moderately humorous. And there will be some heartbreaks along the way. So what this series is about is I've worked for a company for 9 years, and March 18th will be the 10th, which is perfect because you can do 10 seasons in F1 2021. And we're going to see what happens over those 10 seasons as it goes from a mom and pop organization to venture capital and bigger venture capital. So right now what we're doing is we're just putting together our uniform, which kind of mimics the work uniforms the company had for a while.
Okay,
and you'll see the Purple Tiger logo in the background, but that's going to change, at least for this series.
First, enter a team name.
I couldn't think of a better team name than the one I picked. But in the future, as we go from mom and pops to venture capital to bigger venture capital, the name will change. But for now, this will work. And if you know, you know. This name works out perfectly. Because we've had epic, legendary leadership and communication since day one that I've started. It's only gotten worse. I use fun words like progressive unsustainability, reverse efficiency, and administrative deprioritization. Oh, also toxic positivity. That's a big one now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stick with this name for a while, and we'll go from there.
Let's choose our primary sponsor for this season.
So when I first started, it's basically a mom and pop's company that had, relatively attainable goals and expectations. So we're going to go with a fairly attainable goal when picking our title sponsor. And what the title sponsor does is they give you money to start up so you can buy a power unit and sign a teammate. But they also give you basically a weekly paycheck. And at the end, if you finish your goal,
Our chassis won't be going anywhere
you
fast
get
without power
the bonus, the goal
units. Let's
bonus.
sign one of those now.
That grows
Obviously,
as your
the
acclaim
greater
level
the performance
grows.
and durability, the better.
And
be careful about
These
spending
are
all
our
that cash.
power units we
We
can
are going
choose.
to have people and facilities
As you
to
can
invest in
see,
as well.
they get better
Power
as
unit
you go
suppliers
from
will
left to
also provide
right.
upgrades throughout the season,
Now,
free of charge.
Honda's not the best, but they're certainly not the
Not
worst.
much of a team without a
That's
second
kind of
driver.
been where
Let's sign
we
a
were
few of
at
the drivers
when I first
interested in
started.
joining our team.
And the
Look at their
best part
stats
of
and
this
pick someone you
whole
think can get us good results.
team
As
building
long as we can afford them.
exercise, if you
We renew
will,
contracts periodically,
was picking a
so you have
teammate.
plenty of chances to sign someone else.
And when I
should
first
the
started at this particular company, there were a lot of brothers working together. There was a couple fathers. There were even a few, and I think there's still a few left, husband and wives. So it was all about family. So we're gonna keep it in the family, and we're gonna pick Giuliano Alessi. His father, Jean Alessi, is a French Formula One driver, which that's actually kind of a funny joke in itself if you saw Talladega Nights. And Giuliano Alessi is his son, so we're gonna keep it family. That's what we're gonna do here. The first couple years of the first 2 seasons or so of this particular race team will revolve around
Looks like we can afford this
family.
power unit supplier and teammate. Go ahead and confirm if you're happy.
So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick an attainable goal,
Let's create
decent
a
power
livery during
plant,
the season.
and we're gonna
We can add more
keep
sponsors
our
to the
driver
cars
in the
we'll sign them throughout the
family.
year. And don't worry.
And right
Edit
here,
our look at any time from
I
HQ.
pre-did this, but we're gonna have a basic race car, basic looking race car that it kind of mimics the work vehicles. Nothing special going on, just a little, that's the purple Tiger car you saw there. But basically, it's just gonna be like a white work vehicle with black and green trim. So kind of basic, but it'll do. If you have the PC version of this game, you can actually mod the liveries on the cars any way you like. I have a PS4 that I'm using, so I
Last but
only
not
have
least, we need to consider
what
our
I've
brand,
unlocked in the
our
game,
badge,
and I
team.
kind of have to stick with that, but this will work for us. And that's the Purple Tiger logo, and that's the logo we're going to have for our team, even though it should be PMR, start with a P. But if you know, you know. But I'm not going to put the name of the company or what it's become. For those who know, you'll have fun with it.
Great. That's everything we need. You can go back and edit anything we've done so far, and we'll come back here at the start of each season. But if you're ready to go, hit advance to head to the team HQ, and we can start our push to the top of Formula One.
And I think here I was trying to get the sponsor decal to be a green so you could see it because it started out as white, but we'll fix that. And what's fun about this is it's going to be 10 seasons, and I should actually improve as a driver because the company I work for has been known for giving people a chance who didn't actually know what they were doing. And as long as you showed up for work, put some effort in, and just kept coming back, you grew. Things were okay. And then they all changed. But it works out because I suck as a driver currently on this video game.
You can see
So,
there's no pit lane behind me, and as you can
in the
hear,
10
no
seasons
roar of engines, and that's because they've set me
that we're
free
going to do this,
from the F1
hopefully I
paddock
improve.
to escape here to the countryside and to the headquarters of Formula One's newest team.
And this is
It's
Will
not every
Buxton.
week
He's
we
an
get to
actual
pull back the
F1
curtain and look
commentator.
behind the scenes at an F1
He's
team.
going to ask
Rarer
a series
still,
of questions
we get to talk not only to the team owner, but also the
that
team's lead driver.
can either help or
This
hurt your
place
team,
extra special is that the
depending on
owner
how hard you
and
want
lead
it,
driver
how hard you want
in the
things to
same
be.
place. Now, it's been an interesting 12 months, and we all know a number of the regulation changes which were due to come into effect this year have been delayed until next. Some, though, are still seeing the light of day, amongst them the all-important budget cap, which gives some of the smaller teams a little further down the order, potentially, the opportunity to compete with the bigger teams. Good for them, but great for us as viewers. But what does our new team owner think about these new rules? Do they see them as a challenge, a hurdle that needs to be overcome? Perhaps they see them as an opportunity to disrupt the status quo, a chance to come out swinging and to carve their name into Formula One history. Well, I had the opportunity to ask them these very questions just earlier today, and here's what they had to say.
So Will Buxton is going to ask us a couple of questions,
Well, first
and
of
they're
all,
going
thanks so
to,
much for
the
inviting
first
us
three
here
are
today. It's been
basically
wonderful to see
just
behind the
run-of-the-mill
scenes.
questions
As you might
about
expect, I've got about 1 million questions, so let's jump straight in. It's
being
been
an
a long time since we
owner-driver
last saw a team owner take their own car
and
onto
our
the track,
teammate.
and the sport's changed enormously in the intervening years. How are you going to handle the responsibilities of both managing and driving?
And normally I would go
Formula One team?
humble with one of the two top answers, but again, we're mimicking
Let's talk about your teammate. Now, it's clear they're
ownership.
excited to have signed with you, but tell me, what is it that you think they bring to the team?
This one doesn't mean a whole lot. If it did, you would see something that would say your driver noticed that. And then the next, these few questions meant
So
nothing.
you've obviously
These,
been putting a lot of work
the
into
next
the
four
car.
questions,
I know it's early days,
develop
but how do you expect it to feel out there?
the philosophy in which you're going to develop the car. And you can either pick a
Most
department,
of the other teams
or you can pick
boast
some answer
years of
that's completely
experience in
off the
Formula
wall.
One. Where do you see the opportunities to make those
And
vital performance gains you need to put
Whatever
you
you
within reach
pick,
of the other
your
cars?
department will notice that, and that's either going to give them a morale boost or
Ultimately,
resource
success
point
this season is
boost,
going to come
or
down
you
to
might
whether you can
get
take
a leg
positions
up
for the
on
other
your
drivers.
actual
What is it about your car that's
departments,
going to give you that edge?
as you
in
can
those
upgrade
battles?
them as the game goes on. And you have 4 major departments you can upgrade: aero,
And
chassis,
finally, with so many specialist departments working together here at
durability,
your headquarters, and with
and,
such an important deadline coming up, who's getting that coveted Teacher's
power
Gold
unit.
Star? Which...
And in this game,
Well, thank you so
you
much
can either
for
set
your
it up
time.
to where there
It's been
are no
wonderful to
mechanical
get an insight
failures,
from you, and of
or if
course
you
to
can
see
have
you around
a
the
regular amount of
headquarters. Thank you for
failure,
today.
or
Really
an
appreciate it, and thank you all at
or
home
a-
for watching as well. We'll see you
a
very soon.
more likelihood of a failure. So durability is pretty big, and I'm not sure when I picked the I'll fix this before the first race if it needs it. A certain set of parameters in which you run the game at, which I'll explain those in a minute after we go over this. So you get like a set number of days before the race season starts and in between races to pick activities. And most of them can either help the team or help the driver or help your teammate. And some of them can help in one way or hurt in the other. And I've chosen the pre-season merch sale to give us some extra infusion of cash. And I'm gonna do driver training, which gives us some more resource points to work with, and it helps the driver out. And I think we're going to continue to mimic life here. And those are just activities you put in. And once you go back to the overview, you'll have a bunch of things that happen during those 2 weeks. And one of them is usually like your weekly paycheck. And here's some email. And we got Pierre, and he's the kind of guy that would tell you that the more you learn, the more you earn. So hopefully we learn a lot. And then the IT department, it's letting us know everything's good to go. And let's see what else we're going to do here. So yeah, that's all your activities that happen that you don't have any control over. And there's our weekly resources. And once you start developing a pool of resource points you can use that to improve the car and develop it in one of those 4, the powertrain, durability, chassis, or aero. And I have decided that we are going to go with whatever we can do, and then whatever is cheapest. That will be the philosophy of how we will spend our resource points. Not how an F1 team would probably operate, but that's how my company operated. So that's what we're going to do. So if there's some cheap resource points, now this is like one of the only ones we could have done. And it's a little bit expensive, but it's kind of necessary. So, but from here on out, we're going to be doing the cheapest upgrades available in terms of R&D and in improving our facilities. We'll talk about that more in a minute. It's kind of amazing that we're not completely bottom of the barrel. And I think we're going to go ahead, we're going to go back to the delivery of the car, and I think we're going to change the sponsors so we can actually see them, because they're on the car on the side pods, but they're white so you can't see them. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of color, which will match our one of those green stripes. And you get, I don't know, 11 or 12 slots on the car. So as you go, as you get higher acclaim for the team, you can bring on another sponsor, which brings you more money, which is very necessary to keep running the car. And then you can change what they look like on the car. So as the season goes on and we pick up a couple sponsors, we'll be adding them to the car, and they'll pretty much stay the exact same color. They're either going to be green or black, because we're keeping it basic, because it don't matter what the race car looks like as long as it's fast. I'm pretty sure the sponsors are gonna, since they're gonna be paying us quite a hefty sum of money, they'd like to see their name on the car. And as you can see, the 37 was one of the first trucks they ever gave me to drive, so I figure out that we'll honor that truck with that number, which is kind of interesting because we just got rid of a bunch of older vehicles. They scrapped them all out, and that was one of the ones that just went bye-bye. So it's going to the truck stop in the sky, if you will. And as the season goes on and you pick up sponsors, a lot of them have pretty interesting looking logos. So you can pick your sponsors by contract length or how much money they're gonna give you per week and per goal, and then they have their weekly bonuses are based off of what they want to see, and some of them are like you have to complete a certain amount of laps around the track through either the practice session or the race weekend. And some of them want you in front of the camera, and the more questions you answer from the interview lady, or fastest lap, or race win, it's that sort of thing. And some of them are really cool logos, and it gets to the point where you're like, man, do I want a cool looking logo or do I want more money? And do I want a contract that is long term? And that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you may pick a contract that's long term, and then for whatever reason you are able to attain that goal throughout the race weekend. That's what our car looks like. It's pretty, huh? And I thought about putting a little decal on the inside of the halo here, but then I realized and remembered, yeah, we don't do that sort of thing. We're keeping it basic, so we won't be putting any of that sort of thing on the car. Just the basics, just what you need to go get around the track fast. But I lost my train of thought looking at how pretty the car was. But yeah, you might pick a sponsor and you might not be able to attain the goal, and then you're stuck with it and it's not making you any money with your goal bonuses, but you're still getting a weekly paycheck from them, so that's okay, but you like to see more. Here is our car. Yep. That is one basic looking workhorse. Those cars cost about $15 million a piece. The engine's about $5 million. The front wing on that car costs about $150,000 in real life. And I think as we get a little bit more resources, I think we're going to see if we can start development on anything else on the car. So I think that's about all we can do for right now. And I think so you're in charge of upgrading the facilities and enacting the research and development on the car. So you get to pick what areas you want to focus on improving on. And I've decided the philosophy of this is we are going to go with the absolute cheapest upgrades to our 6 departments and the research and development on the car. And you're going to see that that has implications on how we can progress with the research and development on the car. Because in some of these, like in the 4 departments that focus on improving the car, like fabrication, that if you don't have a certain spec to your department, you're locked at what improvements you can make on the car. So the longer you take to get to do some of those, to move up from spec 0 to spec 1 to spec 2 to spec 3, the it's a hindrance. And you'll see that. Oh, look at that. In my engine department, that's Ben Daly, otherwise known as TM at Marduk. He's got his laptop that I probably provided. He's using my Wi-Fi. He's looking at my engine, and he's probably sending pictures to Marduk Motorsports, some trade secrets to improve his own car. Not that he needs it, but I just thought that was interesting. It's supposed to be secretive, and I got a spy in here. Oh, and as you improve your departments and go from spec 0 to spec 3, they change. So this one right here, this is the arrow. Once you get to spec 3, it's like a full-blown wind tunnel. So that'll be pretty cool to see all that come together for anybody watching. So yeah, I think we'll choose the cheapest upgrade for powertrain. And I think what we're going to do is focus on powertrain and durability with this car, because the Honda is fairly durable, but the power is a little low. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to tint the car a little bit so it's not just straight white. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's another car on the grid, Haas Formula One team. It's the same Haas who's part of Stewart Haas Racing and NASCAR, Gene Haas, and Haas CNC Automation. And their car is white and black as well, with some red and blue. So we're going to tint the car a little bit so it's got a little bit of a green hue to it. Still looks mostly white, but that should show up on the in the footage for the gameplay a little bit better. And if I'm in any wheel-to-wheel battles with Haas, because they're at the back of the grid, and I kind of expect myself to be, the best case scenario would be middle of the road, middle of the pack for me. So I kind of feel like I'm going to be seeing the Haas cars from time to time, and if I can figure out how to do the replay footage, you'll be able to tell which car you're looking at. And then I think we're going to go to the driver perks. And I'm gonna add, normally I wouldn't do this, but again, this is more of a durability concern, and since we've picked like durability and powertrain for our philosophy on the car, I think we're gonna go with power mapping and development feedback. And the power mapping is gonna reduce the wear on the engine, because it's a 23 race season, at least season 1 is, and you only get 3 sets of components for the major engine components and 2 sets of components for the energy store and the control electronics, and they have to make it through 23 races. And the less wear and tear you have on them, the more likely they'll last the races, and the less likely you'll have some sort of mechanical failure that requires you to retire, to where you'll get no points if you were in the points at the time. And then development feedback gives you a little bit more in terms of research and development points that you can use to develop the car. So that's what we're going to do. And with that, I think that pretty much closes out the Prelude for the Art Imitating Life series. And we are going to get ready to go to our first race, which is in Bahrain. And the next episode you'll see will be us racing. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.